Hello, my name's Claire from Conscious Chemo, and today I'm going to talk about fasting. So, there are plenty of nutritionists or people that have taken an integrative approach during their treatment for cancer. Um, Not so much naturopaths, nutritionists, lots of research coming out on the positive benefits of fasting. Now, of course, fasting can be huge, from simply detoxing, which means taking out any high toxicity foods, drinks, plastic containers, filtering water, etc., to water fasting. I think that's the hardcore fast is water fasting, and there are some clinics where you can check in and do it for 30 days or more, which is very hardcore. However, I actually do believe that would resolve an awful lot at the cellular level in an awful lot of bodies. I absolutely wouldn't recommend doing it unless you were under the care of clinicians. But from the story I've read and from the experience of me doing just 3-day or 5-day water fasts, I haven't ever done any longer than that. I can imagine how it would be very beneficial if you are under the right care. Really important to stress that. There is scientific evidence to back up the health benefits of water fasting, and there is scientific research, recent studies that have been done that have shown that if you water fast the day before, the day of, and the day after chemotherapy, it really helps not only to improve the effectiveness of the chemotherapy, but also to reduce the side effects. I didn't do that until my 5th round of high dose because my belly was really swollen by then, and I actually wasn't feeling that hungry. So I decided to do it, and I have to say it made a big difference. It really did make a big difference. I probably had the least physical side effects that round than I had with any of my other rounds. And of course, one of the myths around chemo is that every round gets worse. But if you're looking to do what I think is a quite manageable fast, you can simply do there's a 13 I've read about, a 13-hour where you don't eat for 13 hours. So let's supposing you stop eating at 7 o'clock, then the next day you start eating at 8 o'clock. That's a 13-hour fast. A friend, I've heard about that. It's very beneficial. It's just giving your body that 13-hour rest of having to digest, which takes an awful lot of energy and gives the liver work to do. So just drinking water for those 13 hours can be helpful. There's other evidence to suggest that an 8-hour window is better, basically. So if you're looking to do something a little bit more moderate, or up the ante, then you could eat in an 8-hour window. So you basically fast for 16 hours. So let's say you stop eating at 7 o'clock, you then wouldn't start eating the next day until 11 a.m. So you only eat between 11 and 7 in the day, or you might say 10 and 6. I know people that are living with stage 4 cancers who actually stop eating at 4 o'clock. So if you can eat from 8 till 4, then in an ideal world, you wouldn't eat in the evenings and you'd eat more in the mornings. I have to say I've got into quite a bad habit of not eating in the mornings and eating in the evenings, but I will try and switch that back. And if I were a stage 4, I'd definitely be doing that. So as far as you can, and again, if it doesn't happen every day, no problem. You're in path of least resistance. You don't want to do anything that makes you feel pressured or stressed. But I would say that would be very useful. And I did do that a lot during my high dose chemo, and it was very easy actually, because I was going to bed so early and having baths. I wasn't downstairs, which meant I didn't eat. Whereas because I'm feeling so much better during my lower dose and my immunotherapy is in fact pretty much back to normal, I'm noticing that I'm wanting to eat more in the evenings. So if you can do sort of 8 till 4, then go for it. I think it does make a difference. So that's called intermittent fasting. But you're still eating for 8 hours a day. And then there's other theories that you could just have a 24-hour window once a week where you give your body a break from having to digest food, and again the liver gets a break, and you drink water for 24 hours. Or you could just say, right, I'm just going to have fruit and veg for 24 hours, or just have a couple of days of fruit and veg, just unlimited fruit and veg. So there's so many different ways, and that would be fantastic and much better than depending on what your normal diet is. So it depends on your starting point where you want to go with it. But there's always something you can do to help. So I would try, if you can, to, especially the day before, the day of, and the day after your chemotherapy, if liquid fasting is quite a big commitment. So I did liquid fasting, not water fasting, for my other rounds. So I would have juices, I would have some fruit, or soups, but nothing that I had to chew. And then the water fast on round 5, which I found really beneficial. But if that's not your cup of tea, then you could just have, but again, soups, anything that's easy to digest, soups, smoothies, salads, and anything, and fruit and veg. That's what I would suggest. And if that's too extreme for you, then I would really encourage you to cut out added sugar. If you're going to do one thing, I would cut out added sugar for ideally forever. But that's, if you look at any research, I know that it's not recognised within the medical profession, but in my experience, it's made a huge difference. I had an ongoing knee pain and shoulder pain coming into my diagnosis. I was modifying my practice for 10 months beforehand because of the discomfort in my joint. I'd had it checked out. They said they couldn't see anything functionally wrong with it. And then as soon as I cleaned my diet up, not as soon, took about 6 weeks, they went, the shoulder and the knee pain. And I reckon that because of the cancer, I was inflamed, which was probably because of stress and emotional trauma, which triggers the inflammatory response. And sugar doesn't help. Sugar gives an inflammatory response. So if you take the sugar out, I was eating a lot of turmeric and obviously a clean diet as well. That helped the inflammation, and my knee and shoulder pain went. So turmeric is really important, is really great for anti-inflammatory. So, there's always something you can do. I'm choosing not to replace my added sugar with anything, even like honey, or if I'm having a tiddly bit of maple syrup, and that's it. So no fake sweeteners. No alternatives, but if you needed to, if you weren't able to take away added sugar without replacing it, then I would replace it with raw honey. Maple syrup would be the best, organic maple syrup. You can also buy date sugar, which is really good, and there's another sugar called stevia, a sugar alternative, and they're all natural. But ideally, I would try and limit it all as much as you can. But that's just a little side tip. But that is one way that could be your detox, is to just choose one thing to omit from your diet. Personally, I'd say alcohol, sugar, fast foods, processed foods. If you can omit those, that could be your detox during chemotherapy. It will make a huge difference. I know that from experience, and I don't care what the medical professionals say. I don't need any study to tell me that. That's my experience. That's all I can go by, and that's all I can share. And you hear it time and time again by the people. I think the reason that the medical professions don't say it is because they aren't aware of scientific studies that have been NHS approved that scientifically back that up. But the studies I've read, they're basing it on people eating 5 fruit and veg a day. Well, when you think that fruit's considered one of your 5 a day, baked beans are considered one of your 5 a day, it basically means you could carry on having the same diet, and so they're not going to get the results from those scientific studies, in my opinion. Whereas people that have done scientific studies based on, a plant-based diet with, probably 20 fruit and veg a day or 10 fruit and veg a day. But for me, I think the study I read said 30 different fruit and veg a week is what you want for a strong plant-based diet, so that your body's getting all the nutrients that it needs. And if to start with, you can't cut everything out, then just start adding more of the good stuff in, and then your body will start to want those new things. So as I've gone through this journey, my body has started asking for the stuff that I probably wasn't having as much of before. I would be salivating for a plate of steamed broccoli, cabbage, sprouts, cauliflower. Literally, I'd have a steamed plate, nothing else, and I had a lot of sweet potato, and that would be I'd just love it. My mouth would salivate for it, and and they're the crucifix vegetables, crucius, however you say it, vegetables that have got really anti-cancerous and really lots of health benefits, and I just intuitively wanted those. So if you start even eating good stuff, then you might then just naturally start the sort of more processed foods might naturally start falling away, and then you'll start feeling good within yourselves. So then you might start, that will encourage you to eat more of the good stuff. So if you're not in a place to, just overnight drastically change your diet, then taking small steps to increase the healthy items, slowly decrease the unhealthy items, and notice how you feel, and that will encourage you to carry on, I'm sure. So I hope you found this useful. Good luck. There are plenty of books and resources out there of things that you can follow. I will give my things that I did that I found really helpful, but you can't go wrong with as high amount of veg as you can. They say about 75% veg and 25% fruit if you are looking for that sort of balance. But again, it's all going to be great depending on where your starting point is. Good luck with your healing journeys. Thank you so much for listening. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Claire from Conscious Chemo.